we meet Morris, a clever thief, caught for bank robbery. He's being sent to the world's most secure prison, Alcatraz, to serve a life sentence. Alcatraz is a prison that is built on a small island in the middle of the sea. This means that even if a prisoner breaks out, they cannot escape because the water blocks their path. That's why this prison was ranked as the most secure in the world. Only the world's top criminals were kept here, but the prison's reputation was about to be ruined. Frank Morris, a notorious escape artist, had just arrived. This time, however, Morris was a bit scared because this prison was incredibly secure. Morris refused to spend his whole life in this prison. He had to escape. As soon as he enters prison, Morris thinks of escaping. He is searched head to toe and locked in a cell. A guard says, "Welcome to Alcatraz." And the real story begins. Suddenly, a bell rings and cell gates automatically open. Officers call the prisoners out. The prison's discipline is very strict. Inmates must keep clean and return to cells on time in matching uniforms. They all line up for breakfast. A prisoner, Litmus, faces Morris. Morris asks, "I didn't get a fork. How am I supposed to eat these noodles?" Litmus tells him, "This isn't your home." Then, dangerous prisoner Wolf starts taunting Morris. All the inmates were fed up with Wolf, who bullied everyone and faced numerous rape charges. This prison holds the most dangerous criminals. Litmus asks Morris for food, so Morris gives him his plate. Under the table, Morris sees Litmus isn't eating his food, but feeding a rat. At night, a guard takes Morris to the warden. "I know you're a sharp and intelligent man, Morris, but that doesn't matter one bit in here. So many men just like you have come and gone, but no one ever escapes. Rules are strict. You get one visitor every 2 months, but only if I'm in a good mood." The warden is very strict, punishing prisoners harshly for the smallest mistake. He warns them, "Don't even think of escaping, or you'll be torn apart." Morris says, "No, sir. No one would dare escape on your watch." But in reality, he'd been planning to escape all along. Morris seizes his chance, stealing the warden's nail cutter. Though a small item, he knew that in a prison like Alcatraz, it could accomplish big things. Back in his cell, Morris hides the nail cutter in his Bible. The next day, Wolf harasses Morris again in the bathroom, but this time, Morris wasn't back. Morris shows his true colors and beats Wolf badly. Now, he has a new status, and everyone in prison fears him. Morris gets a job in the library, where he meets English. He's a senior prisoner at this jail. English is serving life for a double murder, spending half his life in this prison. He knows every inch of this place, and everything that goes on inside. He also knows that Morris and Wolf had a fight this morning. He gives Morris some books that Morris has to deliver to every prisoner's cell. The scene opens to a yard where inmates are playing games. He then meets an artist named Doc, who's painting a self-portrait. Doc's a simple, decent man, serving a long sentence here. He's passionate about painting, and that's how he spends most of his time. Doc said anyone could go crazy in a prison like Alcatraz, but painting is what's keeping him sane. Morris asks Doc, "Why the flower in the painting?" "It's not on your shirt," Doc says. "That represents my happiness. Only in the painting, not my—" Morris looks to his right and sees English above. Morris approaches English, but his followers stop him. English signals them to stand down. "He's one of ours." Morris sits down beside him and immediately gets straight to the point. He asks him, "Will you help me escape this place?" Hearing this, English just laughed. "Son, this isn't just a prison. It's our grave to escape. We must die first. It's the only way our bodies will make it to the cemetery. Let's say you climb these high walls, cross dangerous forces, and magically slip past hundreds of guards to break out of here. You still can't truly escape. The sea will block your path. So stop wasting time, serve your sentence, and at least stay alive." Morris was determined to escape this prison, no matter what. That night, an officer tells Morris He'll start carpentry tomorrow for 50 cents an hour. Morris quickly agreed to the job, thinking he might find a tool that could help him escape. The next day, he asks Litmus how to get out. Litmus says it's easy. Use your cell's air vent to reach the roof and maybe escape. He smiles at Morris and walks away. Doc warns Morris that Wolf is coming for him. Wolf then attacks Morris with a knife. Morris wraps his coat around his arm and fights back. A guard tries to intervene, but Wolf stabs him. Things escalate as the watchtower guard opens fire. Morris and Wolf finally stop fighting. Morris didn't know about the watchtower guard. He now starts to notice every single detail of this prison. Guards take Morris and Wolf to D Block, where prisoners are tortured in the dark overnight. It was a cell no prisoner wanted to be in. Before leaving, Wolf threatens Morris. "You will die by my hands." That night, Morris is brutally tortured, leaving him in a terrible condition. After staying in this dark cell for 2 weeks, they bring him back to his cell, where Litmus sends Morris a note by his pet mouse, which says, "Welcome back, Morris." A new prisoner, Charlie, arrives and gets the cell next to Morris. Morris and Charlie quickly become friends. Morris then introduces him to his other friends. Meanwhile, the warden inspects all the cells without any warning. When he enters Doc's cell, he finds many paintings that Doc made. The warden is amazed by the growing number of paintings. He discovers that Doc has also painted his portrait, which makes him smile. But for some reason, the next day the warden has guards remove all the paintings from Doc's cell. The warden's decision broke Doc, as his art was all he lived for. His paintings were his only happiness, and he loved them. But then even that was snatched away. Morris says it's just a painting, and he can make more. But Doc remains in shock. The next day, Morris tells the guard, "Watch Doc. He's very distressed and might harm himself." The guard tells Morris to mind his own business. Doc joins Morris for carpentry and secretly slips something into his pocket. Then, he calls a guard and cuts off 3 fingers with the carpentry axe, saying, "I don't need fingers that can't paint," and starts screaming. The guards grab him and take him away. Morris sees Doc has placed the very flower he painted into his coat. Perhaps he wants to tell Morris, "These people stole my happiness." Morris puts Doc's severed fingers in a box and tells the guard, "Give this to your warden. He'll be happy." The next day in his cell, Morris sees a cockroach enter an air vent, giving him the idea that there must be an escape route. English explains that Doc cut off his own fingers in frustration because his permission to paint was revoked. Morris becomes furious upon hearing this. The next day in the dining hall, the warden asks Morris why he supports Doc so much. Morris just says it's nothing and goes back to his table. There he meets 2 brothers, John and Clarence, but Morris talks to them as if he already knows them. John and Clarence were in Morris's other prison gang. With the 2 brothers being as sharp as Morris, escaping seemed easier to John. The 3 began planning. That afternoon, Charlie's girlfriend visits him. Meanwhile, English's daughter comes. Tears filled English's eyes when he saw his daughter. She had grown up so much in his absence, and he deeply regretted missing her entire childhood. Charlie's wife tells him his mother is very sick, and doctors say she has a month or 2 at most. Charlie now considers escaping Alcatraz when a guard says their talking time is over, which deeply upsets him. That night, he asks Morris to include him if he escapes. The next day, Morris, Charlie, John, and Morris explains that each cell's air vent opens to the roof. Plus, this place is surrounded by salt water, which has weakened the walls. "I have a nail cutter, and I've already started digging. If I slowly tunnel to the roof, we can inspect the area and find a way to escape." John asks, "If guards find you're gone at night, won't they be suspicious?" Clarence reveals he has a solution. He knows a barber who cuts prisoners' hair and can supply us. We'll use the hair to make dummy heads and place them in our beds. That way, when we escape through the wall's tunnel to the roof, the guards won't suspect anything because they'll see the fake heads. But even if they got out of prison, the main problem was crossing the sea. Look, I need your help. You work in the clothing department, so you can find those police officer raincoats. You steal some raincoats for me. We'll make a tube boat and life jackets and cross the sea. Charlie says, "Give me a job. I want to help." Morris replies, "You'll be the lookout while I open the ventilation grill. I'll stand guard as you dig." Everyone likes Morris's plan, and they start working on it that very night. But the nail cutter was too small to dig the wall, and Morris had to exert a lot of force to use it, making it very difficult for him to dig the wall. He injures his hand, but keeps digging the hole. The next day, he tells his friends he needs a bigger tool because the nail cutter is too difficult. Looking at the spoon in his hand, Morris suddenly gets an idea. He intentionally rubs it on his shoe to get it dirty. Morris complained to the guard his spoon was dirty and asked for another one. The others followed his lead, finding nothing suspicious. The guard lets him swap the spoon. He walks to the table where another guard is sitting. As he started to swap the spoons, John created a diversion by talking to the guard. Seeing his chance, Morris took 2 spoons instead of 1 and pocketed the extra. He goes straight to his cell. That night, English brings him a book, and Morris asks if there's any welding equipment. English knows Morris is still obsessed with escaping. He says, "I have told you before that your attempt will be in vain, because you will be caught and might even lose your life. I never tried to escape because I know it's impossible, but you're stubborn. So go on and try." But Morris just ignores his warning. He asks Litmus for matches the next day, offering to feed his rat his share of food every day. Litmus agrees because he loved rats that night. He passes his matchbox to Morris. Morris removes the nail cutter's handle to make a small shovel. Then he breaks a spoon and attaches it to the handle. He welds the 2 pieces together, making a sharp tool. Then he starts digging around the vent. Charlie's on lookout, ready to whistle for Morris if a guard appears, but he dozes off just as a guard arrives. Fortunately, English arrived, distracting the guard. Charlie woke up hearing him talk, but was too tense to even whistle. He drops something as a signal. Morris covers the vent and gets in bed. The guard smells something burning. Morris says, "Sir, who dares smoke with you around?" "I smell nothing." The guard feels relieved, finally respected. Once he leaves, Morris removes the vents held by screws. He'll need something sharp to cut them out. Whenever Morris went outside, he secretly dumped the cement he removed from the grill. The next day, working as a carpenter, he finds a metal shard, sharp as a knife, but Charlie asks him, "How will you get that past the metal detector?" Morris confidently says he'll take care of everything, but when he leaves, the metal detector at the door starts beeping. That's because he's carrying the metal. The guard asks why he's taking it. Morris claims it's for hanging clothes. The guard says, "Don't be smart and give that here." The guard takes the metal, checks Morris, and lets him go. But a hero is a hero. He stole 2 metal pieces, hiding one in his shoe. With the sharp metal, he cuts through the grill. Now they had to make a fake head to fool the guards. So the 4 did their part. Charlie asks a guard for paint, saying it's for his art hobby. The guard doesn't mind and goes to get it for him. Morris grinds the concrete from the hole into powder. John gets hair from the barber shop, and Clarence gathers old library books. With his materials gathered, Morris makes a dummy head from water and magazines, adding paint and fake hair to make it look real. At the same time, to strengthen his plan, Morris made fake cardboards so that no one would suspect that someone had made a tunnel in the front wall. One night, Morris decided to go up alone. He set up the fake head in his bed, covered it with a blanket, and then slipped out of the tunnel with the cardboard. Morris slowly climbs the pipes up to the roof. Meanwhile, Charlie is standing guard outside. Reaching the roof, Morris finds an iron grill above him, just out of his reach. A guard asks Charlie why he's painting so late, and why his friend Morris is already asleep. Charlie says, "Sir, Morris was tired from carpentry today, so he went to bed early." Suddenly, the guard drops his baton. He sees Morris's very strange hair, and a terrified Charlie starts to tremble, knowing they're done for. A guard reaches in the cell, touching Morris's hair. "What's this, sir? Is my hair that beautiful?" he asks. Luckily, he laid down just the next day. Morris tells his companions, "There's a rooftop passage blocked by a grill. It's too high up, so I'll need another partner's help." John says he's finished his vent and will be there tonight to open the grill. That night, they use their vents to reach the roof. John lifts Morris, who grabs the grill. John sees the iron grill is very strong and fully welded. The only way to get it off is by cutting through it with a drill. Next day in music class, everyone plays their instrument. Just then, Morris spots a small fan nearby and gets an idea to work on it and build a drill, for which he tells Charlie to somehow hide this fan from here. Charlie very easily hides this small fan in his instrument box. As Charlie leaves, the guards check his instrument box, but don't see the fan, and he's let go. Morris gets the fan and immediately starts working. After several hours of hard work, he manages to create a drill machine. That night, Morris and Charlie climb to the roof and drill the iron rod. The drill's noise was so loud, the guards immediately started coming up, but by then, Morris had already cut one rod of the grill, and the drilling stopped. After the sound of the drill stops, the guard ignores it and goes back. The four had cleared their escape path and planned to flee Tuesday night from Alcatraz, the world's most secure prison that no one had ever escaped. The next day, they meet again in a movie theater during a film. Morris quietly asks John and Clarence if the vent is ready, and what happened to the raincoats they were using to make 2 boats and life jackets. "Everything's ready, even our dummy head. We just need to escape now." The next morning at breakfast, Morris put Doc's flour on. The warden walks over to their table and crushes the flour. Litmus is furious because it was Doc's favorite, and Doc is dead. Litmus furiously attacks him. "You killed Doc, and now you won't even spare his one small memento?" But while attacking the warden, he has a sudden heart attack and collapses. Furious, Morris convinces the others they must escape that very night. Morris waits for midnight for the guards' watch to weaken, allowing for an easy escape. Just then, English brings him some books in his cell. Morris asks for a final handshake, and English understands at once that Morris has a solid plan to escape. He leaves quietly, but Morris never expected what happened next. The warden suddenly comes to check his cell. It's as if someone told the warden about his plan. Morris panics, as months of his hard work are about to be completely undone. The warden ordered a thorough search of his entire cell. The guard searches Morris's entire cell. Morris was no ordinary prisoner with a small plan. He had a perfect scheme that not even the warden's grandfather could have caught. Even when the guard moved the suitcase covering Morris's escape tunnel, Morris wasn't caught. He'd already concealed the hole with a fake cardboard wall, fitting it perfectly. When they found nothing, the warden and the guard simply left. But the guard says that Morris and Charlie keep talking all night. "I feel like something is fishy." The warden agrees. Move Morris's cell tomorrow so they're separated and can't talk. Next day at breakfast, Wolf threatens Morris again and tells Morris that tonight will be your last night. Morris tells his companions that this idiot is right. "Tonight will be my last night here." That afternoon, as Wolf goes to stab Morris, English stops him. English wants to help Morris out too. Succeed or fail, English wanted to help Morris. That night, Morris, John, Clarence, and Charlie would use their vents to meet on the roof. Charlie agrees to escape with his companions, but once he's back in the cell, he gets nervous. Sitting alone in the cell, he decided not to join the plan and his other 3 companions got out through their respective vents and reached the roof above. The 3 of them wait for Charlie for a long time until they start to realize he's not coming. So the 3 decide to leave Charlie behind and move forward with their plan. But for Charlie, his dream of freedom was slipping away. The 3 of them ran, hiding from the searchlight, and stealthily reached the end of the building. Suddenly, Charlie in his cell decides to escape as well. He gets out through his vent and reaches the roof. But by now, it was too late, because he couldn't reach that door up there alone. So, he lost his chance for freedom out of fear. Meanwhile, the 3 of them climb down a pipe from the roof. Dodging the security guard in the tower, they make it to the very last wall of the jail. And then the 3 of them climb the fence wall one by one and get out of the jail. Now the 3 of them ran quickly to the seashore. Then the 3 of them take out the raincoats and start blowing them up with their own breath. It was taking a very long time, but it was their only option. So, with all their might, the 3 of them finally managed to inflate their raincoat tube boat and put it in the water. The 3 escape, shaming Alcatraz. The next morning, a guard checks every cell. At first, everything seems normal to the guard, but at Charlie's cell, he finds him standing like a ghost, taunting himself that with a little more courage, he could have escaped with the others. The guard asks why your friend is sleeping so long. He then goes into Morris's cell and calls out to him, but Morris doesn't respond. And the guard gets angry. He opens the cell and tries to lift him by his hair, but when the guard yanks him up, his head falls down. The guard was stunned. Morris wasn't in his cell. He'd escaped to the outside world, leaving a dummy head on the bed. Sirens blare throughout Alcatraz. Word of the escape spreads, and the warden starts searching the entire prison for the 3 men. When the 3 inmates go missing, the warden starts a search in the sea. The warden can't believe the 3 of them actually escaped. He assumes they must have drowned, but deep down, the warden knew they were all very strong. The 3 of them must have crossed the ocean. Now finally breathing free, HQ officers grill the warden. Were you sleeping when the 3 escaped? The warden is tense. But then he finds Doc's favorite flower, meaning Morris also wanted revenge on him for Doc's sake. The search team head reports they've searched everywhere, but couldn't find their bodies, so, to save his job and image, the warden tells him to write the report, write that the 3 tried to escape, but all drowned in the water. Still, no one believed Walton's story. After escaping Alcatraz, Morris became world famous as a genius. 1 year later, the prison was closed for good, since escape was no longer guaranteed. This film based on a true story now concludes. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and like the video.